Alright, hello everybody. This is Samir Azizi, aka A Double Z. How's it going? Welcome to my podcast. Thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like my podcast on Apple iTunes, also Stitcher, Spotify, and other platforms as well. And in addition, check out my YouTube channel, my content. Subscribe and like there as well. I'd really appreciate that. Alright, so this podcast is probably going to be a short one. I just wanted to share my experience of not experience, my thoughts about the book that I just read. I think it's by Ashlee Vance, and it's about Elon Musk and his companies. And it's a little bit what is it? Yes, Ashlee Vance, Elon Musk. So, I mean, the book was written in 2015, so I'm a bit late to the party, but it's been a while since I, read. I feel like I haven't read a book in like a month or so. Maybe even 2 months actually. And so I was like, what do I like? I really wanted to read something inspirational, and like this Elon Musk book came up. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And so I don't know. Overall, the book was pretty cool. I loved it. I loved the details of it, and it was nice to be caught up on everything since the beginning of his career, his childhood, and all of that. How he started in Silicon Valley. How he actually started in South Africa, and then he moved to Canada. And then it was funny when the book started talking about these local universities and his events in Toronto and all of that. So it was pretty cool too, because I'm in Toronto right now as well. So it was cool to sort of imagine that I'm Elon Musk. But overall it was cool just to drag that path and know the familiar places, especially when I was listening to this book and we walk around Toronto. Every morning I wake up around 6 or 7 and, I take a walk and listen to an audiobook. So, gosh, it's so hard to talk when I just ate so much and I sit in this awkward position where everything is pressed down so I can barely breathe when I'm talking. So, let me at least adjust myself a little bit, because now I'm recording in the living room on my comfy sofa instead of this uncomfortable high stool. But yeah, so everyone who is interested in the subject, in the personality of Elon Musk, he's pretty public right now with all his Twitter things, in addition to all his amazing companies. But couple things. First, I definitely became more interested in Tesla after reading this book. Not like Tesla as in like a vehicle. I'm even thinking maybe if my next vehicle would be a Tesla, maybe I'll purchase a Tesla, because I kind of dig it. I dig this style. I like that. And second, it was just so inspiring for me. The main inspiration that I got from this book is that the guy multitask on the high level, on the very, very high level. Whereas he is a CEO of pretty much 3 companies at the same time. And at this point, he's probably the CEO of, I would say, 4 companies, right? Because the book haven't even mentioned Neuralink and the Boring Company. Actually, with the Boring Companies, maybe 5 companies. But what we have, right, in terms of branding: SolarCity, Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, and Neuralink, right? So the 5 companies. So that was very inspiring, when you kind of whine about I have so much stuff to do, I cannot do podcasting and do a video content and do something else on top of that, have a 9-to-5 job and stuff like that. That's actually, sounds like an excuse. It sounds more like an excuse after reading this book. So I definitely got inspired of okay, there's nothing special about it. You just gotta do it, and it's pretty doable. So there's no reason to whine about stuff. It's just a question of basically time management. So that was one of the coolest things that I got from this book. I was like, yes, that was pretty awesome. That he does that. One thing that I got cautious about, I definitely didn't become an Elon Musk fanboy after reading this one. Mostly because I don't feel I don't know. I do recognize that he's a cool guy, great guy, genius. He will probably, invent more stuff, and he will assist and help more people and all of that. So he's definitely a productive member of society on a very high level. But the book really emphasizes the fact that he is pretty much a douchebag at work, which again, basically his management style is very abrupt, very critical, Everyone's afraid of him and all of that and yada yada yada. And which is, again, I think it's totally fine. It's just the guy does a lot of things and he's really really valuing his time. So and when I said douchebag, I feel like maybe it wasn't even a proper name. It was just more of like he's just rude. He's just rude to people. But the book kind of said that he's not even sort of realizing that he's rude. But what I'm concerned about is that a lot of people will read this book and they'll be like, oh my God, I want to be like Elon Musk. And they're like, okay, how do I become like Elon Musk? And then because the book goes into detail how he operates in terms of like his communication with people, and he will, whoever decides to be like Elon Musk, will sort of assume that they will need to be rude as well at work. And I feel like they will miss the point, because what made Elon Musk, not because he's such a, crazy manager who is just so rude to people and he just wants to get. And again, when I say rude, like he just really wants things done his way and he's really demanding, and he just wants perfection, 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 and he doesn't care about other people's concerns or anything like that, which is not necessarily a wrong thing, but I'm just afraid that a lot of people who will try to imitate him will miss the point that he's an extremely smart and a genius person, right? So he can afford to be like that because he can back this up with his own talents, right? He always does this. Like if you cannot do what I'm telling you to do, I'll just do it myself, and I'll do it even faster than I'm asking you to do. So he can always back it up and stuff like that. And I feel like that's what's might miss in people's mentality or anything like that. But I'm just assuming. I just know that there's a lot of followers of like Elon Musk and stuff like that. So, but overall, very cool book. I really appreciate Ashlee Vance, how he wrote it, how he like started, like the whole style, the whole narration of this book was pretty good. It was like timeline wise was pretty clear. So definitely check it out. So that's the first one, and the second one. Gosh. And again, I apologize for this episode. I'm like literally out of breath because I am so full right now. And I'm in this weird crooked position because I'm sitting on the couch and so I literally like getting out of breath when I'm talking. This is a good lesson for me. I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to like eat, like have dinner and then record it right away. Because this is hard. I almost want to stand up. Other thing I did right now, I just watched this documentary about sports. It's like Last Chance University, Last Chance U on Netflix, and I highly suggest everyone watching it. That is the first episode because I only watched one episode. But it's just so cool, so dramatic how this documentary is just basically a documentary about these kids in community college and how they are just part of this basketball team. And the whole narrative is basically they're trying to make it to the get accepted to like universities and get a scholarship and like a full-time like 4-year universities from that city college, which basically means that after high school they didn't get a scholarship, so they went to community college and they're playing for a community college team. So in the community college they have like another chance on getting a scholarship from an actual university. So that's the whole point. But it's so dramatic, and I really loved it. And I was like, why do we like it? Like, why do we love sports so much? And I think it's because it's just so it kind of goes along with lines. Like we see how dramatic it is, and we see how the guys are struggling, guys and girls in sports, and the cameras are on them. They are, if they are successful, they will become superstars. And so that's why for us it's like, wow, like the stakes are so high. There's so much lens, there's so much eyes on them. But it can be applied to any one of us, because we are all sort of these high-performing players in our game, the game of life. And whatever we see in sport, I always talk about boxing in that way, but it applies to any other sports. That it's just you trying to make the best of what you can do. You trying to focus 100% on something that you would like to achieve. Like you have a goal and you need to like train and practice and work hard. And you can see that in sports, but you sort of get inspired. Like I got inspired after watching the Michael Jordan documentary. I'm already getting hyped up after watching only like one episode of this one, Last Chance U. And I think that's what like really drives this. That's what the sports is all about. It's a representative of human potential. And I was like thinking like when was I, because there's moments when you're like just working hard, and then there are moments when you are on the freaking verge, when you're 100% like it's do or die. And I think I've done this several times. I've been in that situation, where I know that you have to like dedicate everything to this. You have to eat, breathe, and sleep with thoughts about this particular thing. And I feel like the first time ever I've gone into the situation when I had to put myself into that mode was I think it was second year of college when I was trying to get into the economics major, and I couldn't get in because I didn't perform well in the class, and I didn't get the GPA that was required. Uh, Hold on a second, I forgot to turn off the heater. Should have pressed pause. So yeah, that was like the first part I remember. I was only I think 20 years old, and through a lot of like work, I actually convinced the university through like a lot of appellations and all of that uh, to allow me to retake that class. And then once they allowed me to do it, this is where I had to be like 100% focused on studying microeconomics and all of that. The class was Econ 10A, and long story short, I was so focused. I was mentally so prepared for it. I was studying and studying and studying. It was that class and also an accounting class. It was like a double challenge. But I performed really well in both of those classes, and I got into the major. And I don't think that's ever been happening before, that a guy would actually appeal to like retake a class and all of that. And I would go through like several instances, like head of economics department, and then they would reject me, and I would go to the dean, and first I had to like lay down the work, and then I had to actually prove that I can do it. And so I've done it. So that was the first time I actually was like 100% in the zone. Like I was just like so focused. I didn't party, didn't do anything, but just study, practice, going to the old like TAs, student resources and all of that. So that was like my first like really like hard in the paint kind of situation. And then the second situation was when I after my MBA, I got this temporary position at my work. I was working for Kavli Foundation, and so I had to. So I was first came on board as a temp, and then that was in Oxnard, and I was living in Ventura. So and I was still an international student, and I was on this OPT situation. So, and I felt like this was a real situation for me where I can actually get sponsored for H-1B visa if they get me on board full time. But what they've done is they actually moved from Oxnard to Los Angeles. So every morning I had to wake up to continue working there from Ventura and drive to Los Angeles for 2 hours in the morning. And then for 3 hours through traffic, drive back to Ventura. But I was so dedicated to like doing a good job and making sure that everyone is satisfied with my performance and making sure that I'm always on time. So I was really focused on that, and I got hired, and they sponsored me for a visa. Didn't work out, unfortunately, but that's not on them. That's just on the system. But I was really focused on that. And then I think the third time I was really, really 100% focused and dedicated, and I just had this tunnel vision, is that when I was, I remember I got that email at work from the attorney who was applying for my H-1B visa. And the email basically said that I wasn't selected. Like, I'm not like, basically, I'm not going to work here anymore. And moreover, I'm not going to be in this country anymore. Like, I have to leave the United States within 3 months. So you're getting this email and you're realizing that all your dreams are crashed. So I had to cope with myself for like 24 hours. But like instantly the next day, I said to myself, okay, what's next? So I started researching. It was because it was still for me a dream to like move somewhere where I can apply my education and my skills and everything that I have in like a first world country, basically, with the developed economy and stuff like that. So I started researching 3 countries right away: Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and what is their situation. And so that was basically the next morning, and and I just started working right away on that. They had to like get the police certificate, the fingerprints, and everything, and I started collecting documents and stuff like that just to get there. So I moved back to Kazakhstan, and then while in Kazakhstan, I was like collecting all the documents, collecting all the letters from my previous employers, getting my English test done. I actually didn't get enough on my, believe it or not, I didn't get enough on my IELTS test the first time. I'm really bad at taking tests. So I had to like retake that test again. So I was like, I'm not having this. I'm not like giving up because of some English test. This is just ridiculous. So I took another English test. I think there was some other test that I took. Yeah, so basically I was doing this for like collecting all the, it took me I think around 4 months to collect everything. And then I submitted and I applied. Part of me was like paranoid that I didn't do anything correctly or something like that. But I got selected and now I'm in Canada. Gosh, this is like the weirdest podcast ever because I'm like, I have the cool things to say, but I feel like I'm running right now. Jesus, maybe that's just age now. But yeah, so I guess the point is that there's like levels where you're just on the day-to-day working hard, and there's some, situations in your life where you're like, I gotta freaking do this. I gotta apply myself 100%. And there's no like backing out. I can't fail. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And even if it's not gonna work out, I gotta like know that I've done everything possible in my powers. Like with that H-1B visa, for example, I've done everything that's in my powers. I found a good job. They have like a good lawyer. They applied for everything. I provided all the documentation. Everything was like top notch, and it just didn't work out because the system is just like a lottery. So I just wasn't selected. But I knew that we've done everything that we could have done. So I'm not looking back. I'm like, I've done everything correctly. And same with everything else. So I don't know. I guess the question here is how do you optimize your life so that you have those moments more frequent in your life when you're like 100% focused on the goal, like with the basketball documentary, with sports. The goals, which makes sports so beautiful, the goals are simple. You have to win the championship. You have to win the fight. You think it's simple, as in like it's simple to identify the goal. It's very hard to achieve it, but it's simple to identify. Because it's sports, the rules have been written in sports. In life, though, you have to create the rules. You have to create the goal. You have to identify what do you want to do, what do you need. And I think that's the hardest part because some people, including myself actually sometimes, they can't identify clearly what the hell do you want in life, right? And then you sort of come up with some weird excuses like, well, I'm doing all right, and maybe I shouldn't do anything else. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's life, and for some that works, but other people know in the back of their head that you're not doing something that you can do. So it's a cliche thing to say, but setting goals is just like a one particular value of an equation that you just have to have. Otherwise, the equation doesn't work. So just have that goal, and then you have to like do the whole 100% focus. And I think that's what's on my mind lately. Like that's what's like the thought, like what's next? Because it's easy right now with this pandemic, say like, well, the life is on hold. I cannot do anything anyways. And I can always say like, well, it's pandemic, so nothing's happening. But in the back of my mind, I understand that that's BS. And again, I've done a lot of things in the past year, which I'm pretty proud about. And you all were witness to this space if you're following me. But at the same time, you cannot blame pandemic on everything that you haven't done. just because pandemic is not forever. And even if it is forever, because I'm already suspecting that this thing is, in one way or another, it's not going to leave us. Stop using it as an excuse. Technically, we can still do a lot of things. So basically, that's just something on my mind. It's just like, okay, what is this something that I want to do? What is this something that I want to achieve? And I have some ideas. I have some goals and stuff like that. But can we go more microscopic about it? Can we start achieving stuff? Can we start basically, how do I focus on something with microscopic, nanotechnological microscope precision and do this tunnel vision thing again? Because I feel like I'm due for that. Gotta do it. Didn't expect to actually give you a little this motivational speech. I just wanted to talk about Elon Musk and a cool documentary. But that's what sports for me. That's what this I look at the documentary right now like that, and I see these players, these athletes trying to achieve their dreams, and I'm like, I hope people including myself, I hope they're watching and they're understanding that it's not necessarily just limited to sports. It's for everyone. We are also playing a game. And at the end of the day, it's whether you're winning this game or losing this game, or are you just mediocre in this game of life? And I personally want to be the best. I want to win this game. And so, that, my friends, is the end of my TED Talk. Anyways, it's kind of cringe. It's a cringy episode, I'm sorry. Just gave this cliche motivational speech. But I think I just gave it to myself. But if it's helpful to you all, I think that would be great as well. And I hope you're all listening to me while doing something productive as well. Alright, this has been Samir Azizi, short and sweet episode. So subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you think. And I will see you probably next week. Alrighty, goodbye everyone.